Welcome back to the Sports News Analysis YouTube channel. My name is Mike. I'm continuing my NFL playoffs previews and analysis. This video is for the NFC wildcard game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. This game will be played at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, who comes in with a record of 8-7-1 by way of winning the NFC North. They get that 4 seed, and San Francisco, the 5th seed, with a record of 12-4, earning that first wild card position. And these two teams very familiar with each other. They played each other last year in the wild card round in San Francisco, and also at the very beginning of the year this season in the regular season. And a common theme in both those games, as has been well chronicled, was the prolific play of Colin Kaepernick, both with his legs and his arm in the playoff game last year, and most notably with his arm throwing for over 400 yards earlier in the year against the Packers. So for the Packers, look, their rush defense is their Achilles heel. Okay, both stopping not only mobile quarterbacks, but stopping running backs in general. So the Packers defense giving up over 4.5 yards a carry. They have to find a way to not only neutralize the legs of Colin Kaepernick, but also Frank Gore. Because while Colin Kaepernick has had his last 5 of his last 6 games, he's had a quarterback rating of 108 or better, 6 wins in a row in those games by the 49ers, as a matter of fact. But their game plan coming into a game very rarely is for Kaepernick to throw the ball 40 or 50 times. So they're a team who wants to run the ball. How did the Packers respond to that? The reverse, though. Can Eddie Lacy get established, okay, against the San Francisco rush defense? That is the calling card of that defense. They let up less than 4 yards a carry. They let up less than 100 yards per game. Where I think the Packers can exploit the 49ers, okay, is through the air. I mean, obviously Aaron Rodgers is a threat against anyone through the air, but I think specifically against the 49ers, this is a team that let up 348 passing yards to the Falcons in Week 16 and Matt Ryan, and they let up over 400 yards this week to Carson Palmer and the Cardinals. So this is a team you can throw the ball on. So I think from a San Francisco defensive standpoint, you know, we're all waiting for that Aldon Smith sort of breakout game. Do we get it this week? Do we get a big game from Justin Smith? I think these are things to watch from a San Francisco defensive standpoint, because if they allow Aaron Rodgers to sit back there with no pressure on him, and I think we saw last week, it took very little time, if any, for Rodgers to shake off that rust from missing those period of games. And with his full complement of weapons, obviously minus Jermichael Finley, you know, you have an Aaron Rodgers that I think is poised to have a big game if they can't put pressure on him. So 2 ways they can neutralize Aaron Rodgers, the 49ers, be able to run the football against a Packers defense that gives up 4.5 yards a carry, and also on the flip side, be able to put pressure on Aaron Rodgers. Okay? And remember, 2 things I think that have improved greatly for the Packers since they played last year is, 1, the Packers running game, and subsequently the play of the Packers offensive line, I think is a lot better than certainly it was last year when these 2 teams played in the playoffs, and even earlier this year as well. So I'm looking forward to see that matchup in the trenches between that front 7 of the 49ers and that Packers offensive line. Obviously, you know, special teams, things of that nature seem to always play a big role in these playoff games. The return of Randall Cobb, okay, from an offensive standpoint, I don't think you can underestimate for the Packers either. It just gives them another weapon in a stable of weapons. I mean, look, he missed 10 games. He comes back, hits that big play with Rodgers last week against the Bears. There's going to be talent all over the field in this game. That's something you're definitely going to jump out at you, I think, when you watch this game. The 49ers, you know, maybe with the best roster, talent-wise, top to bottom, versus, you know, in my estimation, who I think, okay, is the best quarterback in the NFL, if not top 2 with Peyton Manning in Aaron Rodgers. So I know this is a wild card game, but you're seeing 2 very good teams in my estimation here. And I think it's going to come down to those little things. And I think it's going to come down to, can the Packers even slow down Colin Kaepernick? Because he not only has played good in the past 2 games against Green Bay, but since he's gotten Crabtree back, become more effective with Bolden, and since Vernon Davis, you know, is sort of the mainstay there, since he's gotten all those 3 guys back, and you throw in Quentin Patton, who had a good game last week too, Kaepernick's looked like a different quarterback here in the last month and a half. I mean, if you remember, there were games in November, most notably against the Panthers, okay, and even the Saints, where they had under 200 yards of total offense in some of those games. And I think they've turned a corner as an offense. This will be the test, though, going into Green Bay against Aaron Rodgers. And what I think is going to be a fantastic game, I'm going to take San Francisco plus 2.5 and to win the game outright to beat the Packers on the road here in this NFC wild card game, because I think that defense does a good enough job, okay, to make the Packers one-dimensional. And I think that San Francisco offense just might have the number of that Packers defense here, as we've seen here in past meetings. So again, San Francisco plus 2.5 and to win the game outright. Guys, let me know what you think. Hit me up in the YouTube comments. Hit me up on Twitter at SNewsAnalysis. I'll be previewing every playoff game and also getting into my NFL draft coverage here on my channel. So be sure to subscribe. Thanks for listening. Have a great night.